Hello, you guys. It is me, Danielle Carmelita, your favorite tarot reader and astrologer. I just did a live, but now I'm redoing a live. I was in my pajamas. It was a hot mess, and I was like, no, Danielle, do better. Okay, but this video is about something heavy, right? This is about Iran and Israel and their conflict. And I am an American, so we are involved with this conflict, but I will be breaking down both countries' charts. I will be pulling some tarot here. I'll be tracking how this story will be unfolding in currently, because this just happened last night. And we're not just going to be talking about politics. We're going to be talking about Pluto and Aquarius. We're going to talk about Neptune. We're going to talk about Mars and all of that. So if you are here for that, and this is a live, unedited, real reading, okay? This is me as an astrologer, and I had, the last video to look at stuff, but it's just unedited and really raw and raw, okay? And really real on how I look at a chart. And yeah, let's get started.
3, 2, 1.
I love you.
Okay, so if you were here in the last video, welcome back. Thank you for coming back. I'm going to try my best to be a little bit more organized. I didn't like that I wasn't that organized and I was all over the place, but it is fine because we are talking about the real, right? Now, I'm going to look at 3 different charts, okay? And I want you to understand that Iran has 2 charts. I don't know the history behind it. I don't know a lot about history of Iran. I'm learning about Israel, but I want you to understand that Iran has 2 natal charts. There was one that I really liked, so we'll look at one. I'll briefly look at the second one. We're going to look at Israel. We're going to look at USA because I'm an American, and we want to know how this is going to affect us, okay? So the first thing that I always look at when it comes to war, and that is more of a current energy, is Mars. Mars represents, it's the trigger, it's the war, it's the planet of war, it's aggression, it's the military, it's the weapons, it's the anger, it's the bloodshed, okay? And Mars currently, as of yesterday, we'll put in now, and I'll put in yesterday because this happened yesterday. And this is Israel's chart, okay? And I am sorry, I have a bad internet connection, so it might be blurry, but just listen to the words, okay? And I know the screen is better. Now, Mars is currently at 27 degrees. When it's on Israel's chart, this is Israel's chart, it is sitting on top of their Mars. They're having a Mars return. So this is a hot mess for them. I mean, it's great for them. They're really super aggressive, okay? So it's double energy, and they're on stage. Everyone look at me, everyone look at, and we're all looking at Israel. So Israel threw the first bomb, okay? And from what I understand, not only did they throw the first bomb, but they were very strategic in everything that they did. Now they have Mercury sitting on top of their Venus, and this is giving blessings on them being very strategic when it comes to things that they probably learned from the past, because that's what Cancer represents. Jupiter is sitting on top of that Venus. Jupiter represents expansion. It also represents good luck. Both of these planets are very positive for Israel, okay? And it's in their 10th house, far as work, their long-term goals, and their achievements, okay? So that is what we have for Israel. It's very positive. Now, why did we have this unexpected? I don't know if it was unexpected, but it was very unexpected for me, someone who's not paying attention, but I knew it was coming. Now, if you looked at my previous videos, I did videos on 2025. I said there was war. Okay, we have Saturn and Neptune in Aries, war. Now, before I get into that, now the sun is sitting on top of Uranus for Israel, and Uranus is sitting on top of their sun for Israel. This both means expect the unexpected, but we are the ones achieving it. The sun represents the planet of physical assertion, and it is a bigger planet of Mars. So it's like Mars, but it's the sun. The sun also highlights unexpected events, but here we have Uranus, the one doing the unexpected energy. Now, Uranus also represents intelligence. I want you to understand that. Uranus is very highly intelligent. You know what's crazy too is the fact that, and I'm going to have to end this in 30 minutes, you guys. So this is not a long video because I have to take my daughter to school, but it's so interesting because Uranus, not Uranus, I thought Uranus made me think of communication, highly communicative energy. And I thought I just think it's so weird that the countries are on Twitter communicating and then they're throwing bombs. I don't know. Is that bizarre? Is that, like, I'm a human. So that's really weird for me. Anyway, okay. So that is what we have. Now, I want you to understand some predictions here. Okay, so we'll look at Israel because I was like jumping all over the place in the last video. So we'll just look at Israel and then I'll go to the next charts. So for predictions, I want you to understand that Mars will be moving into the sign of Virgo, and that will be happening on the 17th. This is June 13th as I'm doing this video. Around the 17th, when Mars enters Virgo, then you can expect Israel to be a little bit more behind the scenes, a little bit more, not a little bit, more secretive. Okay, and then endings. It represents endings. And I'm not saying they're going to have some endings, but it represents endings. Now, it also, this 12th house also represents secret enemies. So the secret enemies will be more aggressive to Israel. Who are the secret enemies? I don't know. It could be billionaires, it could be corporations. It doesn't necessarily have to be a country. I just want you to understand that their secret enemies will be having more of the aggression against Israel, okay? And it'll be in the sign of Virgo. Virgo wants to diminish, it wants to cleanse out, it wants to declutter, and it's very strategic and it's very slow. Okay. Now, this is for all of the countries. This is for America. This is for Israel. This is for Iran. When Mars moves into Virgo, there'll be more of a strategic energy when it comes to aggression. It'll be more critical. It will be more detailed. It will be more, yes, judgmental even. Okay, so you have all that, and then that's what will the aggression will go, and it will leave this intensity in aggression. I mean, it's intense. Pluto's more intense, but we have that. Okay, so you have that. We talked about the sun. Now let me talk about their open enemies. So you have Neptune and Saturn, and this represents Iran. Okay, any planet, I mean, any country that is Israel's open enemy, this is where you look at. And currently we have these two big planets sitting here. Neptune represents insecurity. Neptune represents loss in the sauce. Neptune represents death. Neptune represents endings. Okay. It also represents spirituality and religion. So it's interesting that this is a religious country. Not interesting, but it all plays a part. Now, Saturn is sitting very close to Neptune. So Saturn has a big part of Neptune, and Neptune has a big part of Saturn. Saturn represents long-term consequences. It represents a burden. It represents being negative. It represents pessimism, which is the same as negativity. It represents the government. Saturn represents burdens, challenges, negativity, long-term energy, okay? Time as well. Now, in old people, older, mature mentors and all that stuff. So, and the government. I don't know if I said that. So now there's an insecurity towards that. Now there's loss in the sauce. There's endings when it comes to some burdens. There are endings when it comes to the seriousness too, because it represents serious and responsibilities. And all this is sitting here. And I just think that means when Saturn is sitting next to Neptune, that means it's lost in the sauce. The government's lost. There's confusion. It's in Delulu. It thinks it can do one thing, it can't. And there's a reality towards that. There's a reality towards losing. There's a reality towards being insecure. There's a reality towards death as well, and a sadness. And it's just very not positive. I wouldn't want it. Okay. And it represents Iran. So Iran right now is currently not doing good. Now, these two planets will be retrograding and going into sign Pisces. When they retrograde and go in sign Pisces, then this no longer represents Iran. And this will be around October, later on this year. Now, when these two planets go here, and they will be retrograding. And when they retrograde in Aries, that's also going to be harder for Iran, because when they retrograde in Aries first, then now it's redoing all these things and repeating and relearning. So it's redoing the negativity, it's redoing the burdens, and it's still lost in the sauce. Okay. And that represents Iran. And that's going to happen for a few months. So for a few months, for this year, we're going to see a lot of negativity when it comes to Iran or any of Israel's open enemies. They're just not going to be doing their best. I'm just telling you. Jupiter is sitting on top of, for this year, Jupiter is the planet of luck. The sun is in the daytime. Their natal chart is in the daytime. So Jupiter is very positive for Israel. And as long as Jupiter is sitting in his 10th house and it'll be sitting on his MC, it will be very positive. Now, when Jupiter moves, well, we'll just stick there. Okay. So for this year, it seems for the most part, there's always ups and downs in life, very positive for Israel. I looked at the current eclipse, and the first one in Pisces is not affecting Israel. The second one in in Virgo, The second one in Virgo is going to be at 29 degrees. Ooh, wow. Okay. This one's going to be a big one for the collective. Okay. And that's a whole nother video. That's a whole nother story. I need to do that. And it will be opposing Saturn. That's going to be some government, some death of a leader of some sort for sure. Okay. So that is what we have, but I don't see it directly hitting. It will be we'll be squaring their Jupiter 2 degrees off when it comes to communications, when it comes to their community in a huge way, maybe even relations to public relations. So this one could be affecting them. Now, this one is September 21st. It can happen a few months ahead. Could be happening now, just so you know. But that is what we have for Israel. And let me just pull some cards. I put some cards earlier, and Israel had the King of Cups and the King of Wands. And that is very positive for Israel, far as the war. But we have here, we have the world, and there's success here. The world is very positive. And it's, to me, it even seems like it's conquering the world. This also represents Saturn. So some heavy challenges when it comes to the world at the same time. Now, and then we also have the Ten of Swords for Israel. Ten of Swords means that there's a lot of knives stabbing them in the back. So I think, of course, you're talking about not just Iran, you're talking about Egypt, you're talking about all those huge countries, Afghanistan, all of them are surrounding that small country. So you have these knives stabbing them in the back for sure. I don't think it has to be the back, it could be the front. But also, too, this is the ending of a journey for Israel. 10 represents the ending and new beginnings. Now, this card looks more positive. They're seeing something on the horizon, like there's something more positive, and the endings are at its worst is starting to end. That is what I have for Israel. But overall, Israel, to me, so far within this year, seems more positive than negative. Of course, I haven't looked at the downs and lows of the days and the going on. And Israel is ruled by Venus. So whatever negativity hits Venus, and you're talking about in a few years when Uranus hits Venus, it will be expecting some negativity. And any planets that are dealing in a cardinal sign will be very negative for for Israel. And this one hitting here, when these two planets start to get closer and even more, the open enemies will probably have a little bit more positivity as well. I'm just now seeing this here. So the funny thing about astrology is that it's so detailed, and there's so many things that seems like it flip-flops. And it's not that it flip-flops, it's just that there is so much more detailed, right? It's so much details to astrology and knowing things. And also, too, I need to know more. Oh, you guys don't even see the chart. I need to know more about the countries and their backgrounds and how they do things. Okay, so enough on Israel. So that's what we have for Israel. Let's move on to Iran. Okay, now I told you there's two charts on Iran. This is the chart that I like on Iran for us this war. And the reason why I like this chart here, let me put it on current transits. The reason why I like this chart here is because Mars is at 27 degrees, and it's quincunx their Mercury in 27 degrees that is retrograding. And this represents their secret intelligence, okay? Mars, again, is the planet of war. That's the planet that's dealing with the sky. And out of the sky, here comes these bombs, right? And these bombs, this aggression, these weapons are not comfortable with their Mercury retrograding in Pisces. And as Mercury retrograding in Pisces represents their secret intelligence. Pisces represents secrets. Mercury represents the intelligence. It represents communication. It represents learning. And you see it sitting next to their Mars. So that Mercury, that intelligence next to their Mars, which is their weapons, and these people in the Pisces are now dead. So they killed a lot of people who were creating their nuclear bombs. They killed a lot of leaders who represents war for them. And they were very strategic about that, Israel, but it makes sense because Israel had the sun conjunct Uranus on both sides in the sky and for their natal chart. And that means that they were very strategic and very highly intelligent when it came to this war strategy, and probably even more, okay? Because, the rest is to come. Now, again, Mercury, I want you to understand, I didn't say this in Israel, Mercury will be in going into Leo, and it will retrograde in Leo in early signs of Leo. This is going to affect the collective, okay? So it's going to be more bold discussions. A lot of arguing is going to be on stage. So Twitter fights, not just the war fights, it's not Mars, so that's more positive. When Mercury retrogrades in Leo coming up soon in a few more weeks, we're going to see the countries and leaders fighting more on Twitter, on email, on text, whatever. We'll see it, hopefully. I don't see a lot of planets having Leo in the 12th house, but we'll see the issues on that, okay? Now, also too, when it comes to this conjunction, because these two conjunctions, Neptune and Saturn, we talked about it in Israel, and I'm going to save this video, but these two planets will be coming back retrograding in Pisces, and this is going to be around October, later on this year. When these two planets retrograde in Pisces, these are going to be sitting, these planets, this is going to be sitting in their homeland of Iran. This is not necessarily good because you're talking about insecurity and burdens and restrictions for their country, for their homeland, okay? Also, too, look at this. You have unexpected bombs, unexpected things that they value, which is their intelligence, right? Again, intelligence, and it's sitting on top of their moon that is currently with the bombs. And the moon represents the people. The moon represents emotions. The moon represents also insecurity as well. So you have that happening in the 6th house. The 6th house is somewhat in line of Virgo, and Virgo likes to clean up, and it likes to declutter, and it likes to diminish. Okay, so it diminished that energy. You can get somewhat of a death energy because when you clear out something, it's gone. Where did it go? And that's exactly what happened there. Also, too, represents homes. The moon too. So that is what you have for there. Let me talk about the eclipse here. I felt like the eclipse was big for here. And the reason why we look at eclipse, because eclipse represents leaders. It represents the ending, in traditional astrology, anytime there was eclipse, they were like, there's a death of a king. Okay. So I do want you to understand that we have that lingering, just so you know that with any eclipse. And whenever there's an eclipse, not whenever, a few times when there's an eclipse, we do have a death of a leader. There was a death of a leader last eclipse, 2 eclipses ago, and it was the leader of I think Lebanon. Don't quote me, but it was one of the Middle Eastern leaders who died in a plane accident. So we did have that. Now I want you to understand with this eclipse, it's hitting closely to this chart of Islam. And anytime there's an eclipse, there's something that's clipping out, and it is a Pisces eclipse, and that represents death. Okay, so there could be a death of some sort of their homeland. It's in their 4th house, of their homeland, of their weapons, of their intelligence, of their communities. So just putting that out there so you know that. Pluto also represents a transition in intensity, an obsession of power. It's retrograding in Aquarius for the collective. So there is a transformation and an intensity, anything dealing with higher intelligence in the future for the collective, just so you know that. Okay, now with something else. Oh, let me look at USA. What is the time? Okay, I got 15 minutes. Let me look at USA. Let me pull a card for Iran here. Okay, so for Iran, we have the 7 of Cups. So 7 of Cups represents illusions, fogginess, deception. Again, they're lost in the sauce. We saw that when they had their in Israel's chart. Also, too, I want you to understand that Uranus is in their house of open enemies. And when Uranus goes into Gemini, when does Uranus go to? I think the middle, in like a month, I think. Uranus is going to enter Gemini. And Uranus entering Gemini is going to be more in favor, I think, for their open enemies, because the 7th house represents open enemies. More in favor for their open enemies. And again, this eclipse doesn't look good for Iran. This eclipse means that there's intelligence for their open enemies, expect the unexpected. They're going to be very impulsive, their open enemies. Also, to the ruler of their 7th house is Mercury. Mercury is sitting pretty close to this eclipse, and it's opposing this eclipse for them. And that is for their open enemies. So their open enemies could be expecting a death, could be of a leader. Are there something that is dealing with some endings or something that's dealing very much in details? But this eclipse coming up, this lunar total eclipse in the sign Pisces, is going to affect Iran in a big way. Okay, I don't see it being positive, but when it comes to their open enemies, it could be negative for them. Okay, so we have that. Now, another card that I have for them is the 4 of Cups. The 4 of Cups says that Iran is not seeing exactly what God is giving them. God is giving them some opportunities. They're not seeing it. They're only focused on the things that they don't have, or the things that, well, not that they don't have, but they seem like they're not happy. Okay. And God is giving them something. If you see in this card, there's opportunities here and they're not looking at it. Okay. They're not even looking at what they have. So this makes me think of the vastness of the countries and the alliances that they have as well. Also, too, I wanted to point out that currently, I'm all over the place, but I apologize, and I tried not to be. Currently, they're saying that Iran was building nuclear weapons, and that's why Israel said they had to bomb. And Iran has currently bombed back. I do want you to understand that. I don't know if you know that. They sent drones back, and them creating some nuclear weapons will make sense because that's what we have here. That totally makes sense in regards to the intelligence and working towards the intelligence, working towards the yeah, okay. So we'll just leave it at that. I don't want to say things that doesn't make sense, and I want to find the facts. Also, too, let me do USA real quick, and we'll see what else. We'll see if there's anything current. So USA, here's USA. I'm American, so this is why I'm doing this. Also to American, you're talking about because Israel did that bomb, that affects America because now we're involved, okay? And which I personally don't agree with. Raise your hand if you agree with me. I don't agree with that. For USA, we look at open enemies, and open enemies for us is Mercury. Is this USA? Yeah. Oh, we're Aries rising. I know we're a Cancer. Okay. We have Jupiter going on top of our sun. It seems positive. Okay. I think it'll be positive for us for the year. Seems positive. At the same time, life is about ups and downs. Now, these two planets will be retrograding in Pisces and they'll be entering our fourth house. That is an insecurity for our homeland. I want you to understand that. It's not going to our IC. IC is at 12 degrees. So that's positive, but it is dealing with our homeland. So there will be some issues there. May not be issues for a war, but there will be some insecurity and some issues. And I have to see back in recent times when it was in Pisces and the things that we have, the collective themes that we have for that. And then it'll come back. Oh, our IC is at, oh, okay. I thought the IC for America was in Pisces. No, it's in Aries. And you see Saturn is sitting on top of Aries. I mean, on top of our IC. It makes me understand that it seems like we were restricted in this war. Aries represents war, okay? Of course, America had no sayings on what Israel does. I don't know why Israel is so powerful. Can someone please educate me on that? Epstein is what I want to say in that regards. But there is clearly some restriction in our homeland. When you have Saturn also represents burden in our homeland. When it retrogrades, that will leave, and then this will come back. Okay. When it comes back, it will probably be stronger, and we'll see a repeated theme of currently what's going on. Just so you know, I'm just now seeing that in live reading. Let me see what else. But Jupiter for this year is positive for our alliances. Is positive for us. A lot of conjunctions here, and for the most part, it is positive because this is a day chart. Jupiter represents positivity for the day chart. Okay. Now, if I pull some cards, earlier when I pulled a card for America in a previous video, it had the Hermit, and the Hermit saying it wants to be on its own. It wants to be in solitude. We have the Queen of Pentacles, finances, the economy might be fine. I do know because Iran has got bombed and are in war, gas will go up. You don't have to be an astrologer to know that. We also have the Nine of Wands. This is someone who's not giving up. So America's not giving up. They're standing their ground. They're being aggressive. We're going to keep fighting. That's very America. And a lot of finances. We're funding this war. I wonder if we're funding the opposite side, because I know America's in big business for that. That is very interesting there. Far as the eclipse for America, let's look real quick what we have for this Pisces eclipse for America. The eclipse in Pisces, 15 degrees. Okay, it will be squaring our open enemies, and that is not us. Okay, so this again makes me think of Iran not doing its best. A lot of 15 degrees will quincunx our partnership. Very interesting, and yeah, that is also Israel and a leader, the leader of partnership. So Israel and Iran This will be very interesting for the eclipse. Now, eclipse is really not fun for astrologers. It's fun and me dissecting and explaining what it means, but it's not fun because it can't give a really like a week or a month. It could be within 6 months. Okay, and then seeing how long this eclipse is, each minute it's like a year or something like that. So or a month. Yeah. So that's the other thing. So eclipse is could be up to 6 months, and I would think that's happening now. We could feel this energy now. But it makes me think a death of a leader. Let's pull a tarot card and see, is there going to be a death of a leader? We have the 10 of Pentacles here. Death of families, or families that are happy or innocent. That could be, it just seems maybe there could be a death of innocent people. Maybe it's more of that and not actually a leader. So let's see, or maybe like someone celebrating how they had the music festival, because this seems like people who are happy. Families too, as well, but not in America. And I don't mean to be negative about Iran and Israel, but there's something, of course, they're at war. So, you know, we got to be realistic of what that is. Okay. And yeah, so that is what we have. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? Are there any questions of what we have for this war? I want to see, let's go and see the headlines and see if I can connect anything. Let me see what we have for as the headlines and if I can connect anything with astrology and for the future here. Okay. Let me see. Make a deal to attack. Okay, 2 minutes ago. Okay, BBC. BBC doesn't charge. Make a deal or attacks will be more brutal. Trump warns Iran after Israel hits nuclear military sites. Oh, did Trump say stop? This is interesting if Trump said stop, because it goes with my look at me. Sorry, I'm distracted now. I need to it goes with my theory of saying that they were saying, you know, the tarot cards, like we want to be left alone. But I still think that Iran has, I mean, Israel has a lot of power. Israel seemed very positive with the war. So let me see what it says here. Israel military says Iran fired about 100 drones towards its territory, many of which intercepted after Israel carried out waves of strikes on Iran. Let me see. When was this? Because I want something very current. Because I know Iran hit back. Oh, we got Fox News. Okay, CNN and Fox News. I don't like them. They're so biased. But we're talking about war. Okay. My alarm is going off saying it's time for me to go. Let me just do one more. Iran calls Israel strikes a declaration of war. Swiftly replaces killed military leaders. Oh, look at all the places. Iran primary. Oh, okay. Oh, they're saying that these are okay. So Iran, let me just tell you that Fox is heavily against Iran. And I want something that's neutral. Okay. I don't know what CNN, I just know that Fox is heavily against Iran. And so they're saying here, this is what Fox News is saying, that these are all the places that they were building nuclear facilities and wars. But if we have nuclear bombs, why can't they have? I understand why, but you know, let me see this last one. Israel launched more attacks against Iran hours after wide-ranging strikes on country nuclear programs and military leaders. The head of Islamic Revolution Guard Corps was killed, which makes sense on the astrology chart. It is fully on there. And dozens of targets were hit in operation that pushes the regime into a new conflict with certain consequences. Okay, so we don't have anything new there. Yeah, so I was trying to see if there were some new bombs. I know that is Iran attacked back, but in the charts, so far, just to sum it up real quick, in the charts is, you know, the eclipse is going to represent a huge death for something, or a huge death for like a partner in leadership or an alliance in leadership. Okay, but there will be some deaths with the eclipse coming up in September, and then also too, and the Virgo eclipse really affects Iran's chart. So we'll see how that plays out. And Virgo represents the details. It represents diminishing as well. Okay. Now I do know, I thought I heard that the leader of Israel, I forgot his name, now who I can't say his name, that he said he was going to take over the kingdom of Israel, like the leadership, and that Mercury retrograding, that could be possible. And they're coming back, announcements of a leadership and redoing and repeating. And yes, but he announced it. And so that could be coming back. Also to Neptune and Saturn retrograding in Pisces, that represents death, that represents endings, that represents loss, and a lot of insecurity, a lot of loss in the sauce for the collective, for the world. Also to, what else do we have? Those are the things that I have currently that I'm thinking. I will do a more detailed video. I will study the charts and do more of a detailed video and come back for you guys. So make sure you subscribe, hit that button and all that stuff, because there is more to come. Also too, I pre-filmed my videos that are coming up next week. So they may not talk about anything about the current events, but they will have predictions. Also, I want you to understand, I predicted a lot of this, a lot of things already in my 2025 playlist. You guys have to check that out, because this is not a shocker for me. Okay, there are a lot of predictions on this playlist, and they are currently happening right now. Now, Uranus is going to enter Gemini. That's going to be some more predictions. So look at that. Look at Jupiter entering Cancer. A lot of predictions. You can even look at Saturn and Neptune in Aries, because it's retrograding in Pisces. It's going to come back in Aries, and it's going to tell you all the things that I've already predicted that are already happening. So none of this is a shocker. And this was like, I researched this like way last year. So I want you to understand, there is going to be an issue in homeland. Jupiter is in Cancer, a huge issue with nationality and homeland. Okay. All right. So that is what we have. I thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for joining. Please don't forget to thumbs up, like, subscribe, share this video. And yes, there is more to continue. All right. I will see you next time.
Bye bye.